I really wish somebody would have set me down and like held my hand. I think friendship breakups hurt more than actual relationships. I was starting to have some experiences that I just was not prepared for. The red flag that you see is never going to turn pink. It hurt me so bad, y'all. I was so hurt, and I really wish I would have known that this was going to happen. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, I am ChimereNicole. Welcome back. Today we're going to be continuing on with our series, which is entitled All the Things That I Wish I Knew in My 30s. Now this list is going to be quite extensive, so I wanted to break it down into a few parts, hence a series. So we're going to jump into some things that I wish I knew in my 30s as it relates to people, relationships, self-worth, self-love, all the good things. So let's jump into today's video. A conversation that I have quite often, especially with my friend groups, my clients. You guys know I'm a hairstylist, so I'm in the salon all the time. So one of the conversations is about relationships, and one of the things that some of my older clients have said to me collectively is that they wish they chased the bag in their 30s and not settled down really early on. Now, I got married earlier on. I was 23 when I got married. So when I was in my 30s, I had already had a house. I had already had the kids. I had already been married for quite some time. And I would kind of agree with them. I really wish that I took my 20s and my 30s to really focus on my career. Now I know this is going to be one of those one of them things that you may or may not agree with, but I'm gonna tell you from my perspective. One thing that I can say that is true is that relationships are going to come and go. These men, even these women, I'm not sure who you're dating, but these relationships are going nowhere. I'm a firm believer that what is for you is not going to pass you by. So I really wish I would have taken my 30s and truly chase the bag, truly focus on building my career, making sure that I had my finances in order, making sure that the things that I wanted to do in my 20s and my 30s I accomplished. Whatever that dream is that you're trying to chase, if you have not done that in your 20s, I would highly recommend you take your 30s and live out your dream. You do not want to be in your late 30s, early 40s, or whatever, thinking about the shoulda, woulda, couldas. The worst thing that you can have and live with is regret. So if there is something that you are trying to achieve in your life, if there is a desire in your heart, if there is a career path that you want to take, let your 30s be the time that you do that. Something that I wish someone would have kind of pulled me to the side and said to me, your 30s is the time for you to make sure that your house is in order. That means your finances, your mental health, all of those things. Make sure that is in order before you even think about getting into a long-term committed relationship. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but I want to reiterate this as my point number 2, and that is stop worrying about things that are outside of your control. What is for you is truly not going to pass you by. And a lot of times we make decisions because we're like, oh, I'm 31 and I want to have a house, or I'm 31 and I want to have kids, or I'm 32 and I want to have X, Y, and Z. You don't have to worry about anything that is for you. You really have to have that belief that if it's for you, it's going to come. I don't want you to make decisions based off of a timeline that either society has given you, your family has given you, the aunties has given you. If you are in your 30s and you don't have children, or if you are in your 30s and you don't have, you have purchased a home, or whatever it is that you have not done according to someone else's timeline, this is the opportunity for you to really go back to the drawing board and have a self-reflection moment. As I say, have one of them come to Jesus moments, okay? Think about what it is that you want to do with your life, and your actions moving forward should align with your goals, your dreams, your ambition. Really take this time and do some self-reflection and really decide, are you living your life according to your timeline? A lot of times people think that because you're in your 30s, you should already have stuff figured out. That is far from the case. Your 30s is still an opportunity for you to figure out what works and what doesn't work, and allow yourself that space and that grace to make mistakes. Just because you're in your 30s does not mean you have to already have your entire life mapped out for you. Allow for yourself to be a little more flexible and to be more lenient, especially when it comes to your career or your education or your relationships. Don't think that you have to have everything cemented in order for you to live the quote-unquote dream life. This goes directly into my next point, and that is, it is never too late to start over. If you are looking at the trajectory of your life and you are seeing that you are going down a path that is not aligned with your goals, start over. No matter how old you are, 31, 39, whatever, it is never too late to start over. As I mentioned earlier, so many people put these timelines on us because we are looking at what our friends are doing, what our neighbors are doing, how our moms or dads, how they live their life, and we think, okay, well, my mom had kids in her 20s, so I should already have kids, or my best friend is already married with children, I should be doing the same thing. This is the worst thing that you can do, is to mimic someone else's journey and think that you have to walk the same path that they have walked. There is a reason why a bus has so many seats and your car has 4. A bus is going to take the path that is general, that everybody can take, and it's going to make pit stops along the way until you get to your destination. If you are riding in your car, you got 4 seats. Typically, you only have to worry about 1 passenger and you can go from point A to point B without having to stop, without you having to stop along the way. You know where you are trying to go, so you don't have to make any pit stops in order for you to get there. You can go from point A to point B without any distractions. Think about that when you're thinking about your journey and the trajectory of your life and where you want to be. Do you want to ride on a bus or do you want to ride in a Mini Coupe? Another hard lesson that I wish someone would have pulled me to the side and really held my hand and told me that this was going to happen was experiencing heartbreak. And I'm not talking about heartbreak in terms of a relationship with, a loved one. I'm talking about friendship breakups. I don't think anybody is prepared to end friendships. I think friendship breakups hurt more than actual relationships that you have with, a spouse. It is one of those things that is like gut-wrenching for so many reasons, because you never think it's going to happen. You don't realize that those type of relationships can end. The people that you started your journey with, you always think that they're going to be with you to the end, especially when it's like a childhood friend or someone who has gone through, hell and high water with for so many years. And a lot of times in your 30s, you're just on a different path, and it may not be that something happened that make the friendship break up. You might just be going in 2 different directions and your paths don't cross anymore. But mourning people who are still here is one of the hardest things that you will have to experience. This a lot of times happens in your 30s. Now, it does happen in your 20s, but a lot of times we're like out and about and we don't really have a time to kind of sit back and really think about those relationships that we lost. But your 30s, you are going to experience a lot of loss, and those types of friendship breakups are not things that we talk about often enough, and they hurt. And learning how to navigate that loss in your 30s can be really, really challenging. Another thing that you will learn in your 30s is how to properly vet people. In your 20s, we're a little more open, we're a little more free, we're a little more forgiving of people. But in your 30s, your patience is going to be tested a lot more. You're going to learn to vet people better and vet people more often. And this is something that I wish people would have told me a little bit earlier on, but it's a lesson that I had to learn the hard way. And unfortunately, in my 30s, I had to let a lot of people go because I was learning to vet. I learned to do this by really, like I said, having a self-reflective moment with myself and realizing that if these people did not align with my personal core values, then they just weren't meant to be in my circle. Your network is your net worth. And I knew that I didn't want to have certain people in my network anymore. You may feel bad about making these decisions, but in your 30s, you're going to realize that you now have to make the decisions that are the best for you and that are the best for the person that you are trying to become. That is something that I just was not expecting to have to do in my 30s. But the sooner I learned learned that lesson, the better quality friendships I was able to develop. And that is my hope for you, that you are learning to vet these people a little bit more often, not be as open and as forgiving, and having an open door policy with so many different people is going to leave you exposed to a lot of hurt. You're going to see this in your workplace. You're going to see this in your friendships. You're going to see this in your relationships. Make sure that you are vetting people early and you are vetting people often. This leads into my next tip, and that is the red flag that you see is never going to turn pink. It's never going to turn pink. It is red, girl. It's red. So if it comes to that relationship, you start seeing red flags, don't try to make it pink. Don't say you colorblind. The red flag is the red flag. What I mean by this is when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. I am telling you, it is going to save you emotionally, financially. It is going to save you so much time and energy and heartbreak. That red flag is red for a reason. Keep it red and keep it pushing. When you are coming into your 30s, like I said, a lot of times people are really starting their careers and they're kind of getting their footing, and you're still trying to figure out who you are as a person, what your style is, what your aesthetic is, all of those things. A great way for you to navigate this time is to really find a mentor. I highly recommend to do that because a mentor is just really going to help you in so many different aspects of your life. This next tip may be a little bit controversial. It is just my personal opinion. You may not agree with it, but I do feel like it should be something that is said. As you enter in your 30s, one of the traps that I even fell for was overconsumption. I started to make a little bit more money. I was exposed to new things and new environments, and I started to associate overconsumption with the I've made it mentality. Oh, now that I've made it, I can start buying certain things. Now that I've made it, I can start wearing certain things. And what I found now that I'm in my later 30s is that overconsumption and that need for accumulating things as a way of showing people that I made it, at the core was associated with low self-esteem. I realize now in my later 30s that I don't have to purchase certain things, or I don't have to wear certain things in order for me to feel like I've made it or that I have arrived. I am that girl despite of what I am wearing, despite of the things that I have, despite of the designer items that I might have in my wardrobe. None of that makes you who you are. And like I said, I truly believe that a lot of the overconsumption that we're seeing, especially now on like social media and all of that, is at its core because we now feel like we have to show up a certain way in order for us to be deemed an influencer or to be deemed a boss babe. And I just don't think that that is necessary. And like I said, I am a lover of a lot of things. I collect a lot of things. I had to really assess the core reason of why I was doing it. Was I doing it because I loved it? Was I doing it because I was passionate about it? Or was I doing it because it made me feel like I had arrived? It's a question that you should definitely ask yourself, especially as a woman in her 30s who is starting to have more resources at her disposal. Think about the reason you are doing certain things. Think about the reasons you are wanting to purchase that designer bag. Think about the reason why you want to start to purchase expensive clothes or expensive items. Is it because it's something that you truly want and it's something that truly makes you happy? Or are we doing it to impress friends and family, or quite frankly to impress the people who truly don't even matter? So I have a few more things that I want to share, and one of those things is that I learned in my 30s how to truly be comfortable in my own skin. Even going back to some of the things that I talked about earlier, I learned that I don't have to dress to impress other people. I don't have to purchase things to make it look like I'm that girl and I've arrived and I'm this boss babe. I don't have to do that anymore. I found my own value and I found my own belief system, and that helped me with my self-worth. I found out who I was despite all of the things that I had accumulated, all of the accolades that I have accomplished. I started to be happy with those things because it was things that I wanted to do, not because of the praise that it gave me from other people. This is a lesson that I'm hoping that you learn in your 30s as well. And this goes back to what I talked about earlier. Start to make decisions that are going to be beneficial to you and to you alone. You really start to understand what self-love is and what self-worth is, and you realize that your self-love and your value system is not dependent on how other people look at you, what they say about you. Now, I know that this still may be a struggle for a lot of us in our 30s, but you are going to start to get a little bit more comfortable in your skin. And if you have not already, don't worry, it does take some time. I am in my late 30s and I really didn't start to understand what self-love was and really start to practice self-love until my late 30s. But if you have not gotten to that point, I would implore you to really start to think about what self-love means to you, what your core values are, what your belief systems are, and this is going to start to dictate some of the decisions that you make. If you need a little bit more help in understanding what self-love is and how to start your self-love journey, I do have a ebook in my video description for you guys to check out. I think it is going to be really, really beneficial if you are starting that self-love journey. I always think it's funny when I see people either online or even in person and they say, oh, I got so many amazing friends and all of this stuff. And I don't think people understand the term friendship. I don't think people understand how your close friends impact your life. The importance of having really strong bonds and connections with people and having these people have such close access to you in your life, and how your friends are a reflection of you in a lot of cases. And so I don't like to use that term friend lightly. And in your 30s, I really think that this is something that you really should have a self-reflective moment about. Who are the people that you actually call friends? Are these the people who are able to pour into you when you're at your lowest, and you can trust that if you share something really intimate and detailed with them, that they are not going to run back and tell someone else in their friend group? Are these the people who are not going to have your business in the street? I'm talking about really solid friends. It is hard to find genuine people, just in general. It is really, truly hard. So for people to say that they have 25 friends, close friends, I just don't think that that is likely. So I really want you to think about what friendship means to you, and really start to think about the people that you have in your life currently. Are these the people that, let's just say you won $1 million tomorrow, that you would trust that these people will not change up on you? The people you surround yourself with are going to show you how successful you're going to be. They're going to show you how successful you are in business. They're going to show you how successful you are in your relationships, in your marriages, all of these things. If you are hanging out with, I'll speak for women, if you're hanging out with women who are cheating on their spouses and drinking every other Sunday and talking about the men that they have in and out of their house and all that type of stuff, right? Do you think that that's going to have a positive impact on your relationship? You know the saying, one bad apple spoils the bunch? I believe that you have to make sure that you have quality friendships in your 30s. Your life is going to really start to take shape at this time, and having all of these negative influences in your life can be truly detrimental. Everybody cannot be there and everybody cannot go. Your 30s are going to be a truly defining time in your life, and I'm hoping that the information that I'm sharing with you here on this series is going to help you navigate this challenging time. It is going to be new, it's going to be exciting, it's going to be fun, but it's also going to be filled with a lot of challenges. So my prayer for you is that the information that I'm sharing with you in this video, that you can take the meat and spit out the bones. If it does not apply, it is okay, but the things that resonate with you, please make sure that you're able to implement it in your life as soon as possible, because it's going to help you thrive in your 30s. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you are new here, don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe if this video was helpful for you, and I will see you guys in the next video.